going to war.
The White House now says the president has directed the administration to make preparations next year to admit 10,000 Syrian refugees into the United States. You with him on that?
Yes, I am. Look, you have a humanitarian crisis, which is heartbreaking. People are leaving Syria. They're leaving Iraq, by the way, and with the clothes on their back. And I think this is a European issue. By the way, I think it is an issue that Saudi Arabia and some of the other wealthy countries in that region should also embrace. You know, they're part of the cause of the problem. They should take some of the refugees. So should the United States.
How would you, as president of the United States, defeat ISIS?
I don't think anyone has a magical answer, but this is what I do believe. I do not believe that the United States can or should do it alone. You know, I get a little bit tired of countries like Saudi Arabia, who border on ISIS, telling President Obama, please send combat troops in, but we don't want to get our hands dirty. You got very wealthy, Saudi Arabia, among other things, has the third largest military budget in the world. I think you need the countries in the region to be leading the effort with the support of the United States and the other wealthy, powerful Western countries throughout the world.
I know you're making a major move today on a domestic issue, prescription drugs. You say they're way too costly. You're working with Elijah Cummings,
yes,
the Democratic congressman from Maryland. What's your point now? What could you, as President of the United States, do to reduce the cost of prescription drugs?
Do two things. First of all, we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. 1 out of 5 people in this country who gets a prescription from a doctor cannot afford to fill that prescription. That's totally crazy. So what happens to those people? They get sicker, maybe they even die. What we need to do is, number one, have Medicare negotiating drug prices with the pharmaceutical industry. 3 major drug companies made $45 billion in profit last year. That's obscene when millions of people can't afford drugs. And the second thing we do is that we allow the United States and distributors and pharmacists to re-import drugs, prescription drugs, from other countries like Canada, where their prices are much, much lower than they are in the United States.
If you were president, would you work to get a single-payer health care system in the United States, move away from Obamacare, and maybe get Medicare for all of America?
In my view, the Affordable Care Act has done a lot of good, but there are still 35 million who are uninsured. We continue to spend far more per capita on health care than do the people of any other country. So yes, I want to move toward a Medicare for all single-payer program, which will guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child. We are the only country, major country on earth, doesn't guarantee health care to all people. I want to see that end.
What do you think of Donald Trump?
Well, I think he's obviously a very flamboyant guy. I think he's clearly doing a lot better in the Republican process than anyone thought he would. I am sad to say that in the year 2015, people like Trump are using racism as a way to attract votes. You don't talk about Mexican Americans or people from Mexico as rapists or as criminals. That is not what we should be talking about in this country today. I would have hoped we would have gone beyond that kind of racism.
What he says, some of the people who've come into the United States, the illegal immigrants from Mexico, some of them turn out to be rapists or criminals.
Well, and so do some white people, and so do some black people, and so do some everybody people. But his remarks were totally objectionable, and they were racist.
Do you want more debates? Because the chair of the DNC, W. Wasserman Schultz, says there are going to be 6 authorized Democratic debates, presidential debates, and that's enough.
Look, when so many people have given up on the political process, when we have a pretty low voter turnout, I think debates are a healthy aspect of democracy. I think the exchange of ideas on the important issues facing our people is a very positive thing. Yes, so I am in favor of more debates, absolutely.
One final question. You just had a birthday. You just turned 74 years old. Donald Trump is 69 years old. Hillary Clinton, 67, almost 68 years old. Some say, you know what, all of these people, they're too old to be president of the United States, to which you say?
I don't know about these other people. I feel good. Look, thank God I've been blessed with good health. I can't remember the last day off I had as a result of sickness. I'm running an energetic campaign. I would not have gotten into this unless I thought I could run a vigorous campaign and be a very strong president.
Could you really see yourself being president of the United States?
Increasingly, yes.
Running against Donald Trump?
Well, Republicans will nominate their candidate, and I'll run against whoever they have.
Well, you're running. You're doing well. By the way, Joe Biden's 72 years old, so if he comes in, he'll be a contemporary as well. Senator, thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you, Wolf.
Good to have you here on CNN. Bernie Sanders, he's now the front runner in both Iowa and New Hampshire, according to these latest polls. Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is here with me to talk about what's going on. We've had many conversations over these months. You must be stunned, and be honest, that you're ahead in Iowa, you're ahead in New Hampshire. This other Monmouth University poll in New Hampshire has you up by 9 points in New Hampshire, now up 1 point according to this Quinnipiac poll in Iowa.
So you want me to tell you the truth?
Tell me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I'm stunned. Look, we have a message that I believe from day one was going to resonate with the American people. And the message is there's something wrong in this country when the great middle class continues to disappear. Almost all new income and wealth goes to the top 1%. When millions of families cannot afford to send their kids to college, when we're not addressing the planetary crisis of climate change. And Wolf, a huge issue out there. We have a corrupt campaign finance system as a result of Citizens United, where billionaires are now able to buy elections. The American people are saying, no, this is not the kind of country we want to be. So I thought that those issues would resonate. But did I think they would resonate as quickly as they have? The answer is no.
Why? So are you going up in these numbers in Iowa and in New Hampshire, and Hillary Clinton is going down in these numbers?
I can't speak to what's going on with Secretary Clinton, but what I can tell you is we've been around New Hampshire and Iowa, the bigger cities, the smaller towns, and people are sick and tired of establishment politics. They're sick and tired of establishment economics. They don't want to see billionaires getting more tax breaks and cuts to Social Security, which is what many of my Republican colleagues are proposing. And by the way, don't get upset with me here. They're getting tired of establishment media. They would rather see serious discussion about serious issues rather than so much of what we see.
Earlier the week, you said the Clinton campaign, and I'm quoting you now, is getting nervous about the kind of energy and enthusiasm our campaign is bringing forth. Explain what's going on.
I'll give you an example.
Why are they getting nervous?
This is why they're getting nervous. I was in New Hampshire on just the other day, and we were at a parade in a town called Milford. We had 300 to 400 people coming out in that, it was 94 degrees, 300 or 400 people coming out to march in that parade with me. Later on in the afternoon in Concord, New Hampshire, we opened up a small office. 200 people were in a parking lot, over 90-degree heat. We're seeing this kind of response. We're seeing more and more people getting involved in the campaign. I don't have a super PAC. I'm not going to take money from billionaires. I don't want their money. But we have now over 400,000 people who have made individual contributions. And you know what the average contribution is? It's all of $31.20.
Is the Hillary email controversy, in your opinion, hurting her?
Look, I mean, I think it's clearly not helping her. But I think the reason we are doing well is because the issues we are talking about, the need for a political revolution that says that the billionaire class can't have it all, that you need a Congress and a government that represents all of us and not just large campaign contributors. That is what's resonating with the American people.
She sounds as if she is getting a bit nervous about your dramatic surge in New Hampshire, now in Iowa. She says now, repeatedly, I am a proud Democrat. I am a true Democrat. She doesn't mention you by name, but the implication is you're not a Democrat, you're an independent, you're a socialist. That's the implication I'm getting when I hear her say that.
Well, look, it is no great secret. Everybody knows it, you know it. I'm the longest serving independent in the history of the United States Congress. And I'm very proud of that. People of Vermont sent me to Washington because they were unhappy with both political parties. I made a choice over 4 months ago. As somebody who has caucused with the Democrats from my first day in the United States Congress, I was chairman of the Senate Veterans Committee, now ranking member in the Senate, worked very closely with Democrats, that I would run within the Democratic primary and caucus process. We're doing well.
So are you a proud Democrat and a true Democrat, as she says she is?
I am going to be doing everything that I can to see that the Democratic Party is successful in November. And let me say this. Some people say, well, Bernie, you can't win this election. And let me repeat what I've said before. In November, the Republicans didn't win the election. the Democrats lost the election because the voter turnout was abysmally low. Low-income people not voting, 80% of young people not voting. Wolf, if you come to the rallies that we hold, what you're going to see is a lot of working class people. You're going to see a lot of young people who are now prepared to get involved in the political process. And the way the Democrats win, not only the White House, but Congress and legislatures and governor seats, is when we have a large voter turnout. I think I could do a good job in expanding the voter turnout.
She's in Ohio today, in Columbus, and she painted herself as a moderate, and she said, I plead guilty to being a moderate. You plead guilty to being a moderate?
No. I am somebody who for the last 30 years has stood up and fought for working families. I have taken on virtually every special interest in the country, from Wall Street to the drug companies. I am a proud progressive.
You want Joe Biden to jump into this race?
I neither want him to jump in or not to jump in. That is very much a personal decision that the vice president has to make. I've known Joe for many years. He is an incredibly decent guy. And all I say is that if Joe Biden gets into the race, I will do my best to make sure that we have an issue-oriented campaign. I don't do negative ads. I don't engage in personal attacks. Let's debate the issues. If Joe gets in, that's great. If he doesn't, that's okay too.
Well, just your analysis, because you're a politician. If he gets in, does he help you against Hillary Clinton, hurt you? In other words, does he take votes away from her, or does he take votes away from you?
The answer is, I'm not an expert in this stuff. Who knows? Some people think he'll help me. Some people think he'll help Secretary Clinton. What it does do is it makes the votes that you need to win this thing. You don't need 50% or 48%. You need 35%.
So
That's
on the issues, on policy issues, the most important issues which are driving you, what's the biggest difference between you and Joe Biden?
Joe is not in the race. I don't want to speculate about Joe, but I will tell you the differences between the secretary and myself. I voted against the war in Iraq. I believe over a period of years we should raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I believe we should reestablish Glass-Steagall to start breaking up these large financial institutions on Wall Street. I am very opposed to our current trade policies and helping to lead the effort against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Secretary has not made a decision on that. I am strongly against the Keystone Pipeline because I think we need to radically transform our energy system. Secretary has not made a statement on that as well.
So those are some of the major differences. We have a lot more to talk about, including Donald Trump, who's now way ahead in the Republican contest. Senator, hold your thought for a moment. We will continue this conversation right after this. So why are you going up in these numbers in Iowa and in New Hampshire, and Hillary Clinton is going down in these numbers?
I can't speak to what's going on with Secretary Clinton, but what I can tell you is we've been around New Hampshire and Iowa, the bigger cities, the smaller towns, and people are sick and tired of establishment politics. They're sick and tired of establishment economics. They don't want to see billionaires getting more tax breaks and cuts to Social Security, which is what many of my Republican colleagues are proposing. And by the way, don't get upset with me here. They're getting tired of establishment media. They would rather see serious discussion about serious issues rather than so much of what we see.
What's the biggest difference between you and Joe Biden?
Joe is not in the race. I don't want to speculate about Joe, but I will tell you the differences between the secretary and myself. I voted against the war in Iraq. I believe over a period of years we should raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I believe we should reestablish Glass-Steagall to start breaking up these large financial institutions on Wall Street. I am very opposed to our current trade policies and helping to lead the effort against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Secretary has not made a decision on that. I am strongly against the Keystone Pipeline because I think we need to radically transform our energy system. Secretary has not made a statement on that as well.